Why is Zillow buying all the houses? Maybe SNL was right and Zillow's becoming everyone's fantasy, especially this guy who's trying to sell his house for $1.8 million who also forgot to put his clothes on. Whatever you do, do not zoom in on that picture or else you'll see the street name, Gentilly Place. By the way, I've teamed up with Omaze to help promote their giveaway, so a part of this video is sponsored by Omaze, but more on that later. This is a fascinating story I originally saw on TikTok, and this video got millions and millions of views, and it led me down a rabbit hole, and I just had to make this video. So in that video, a realtor from Las Vegas poses a hypothetical scenario. He says, imagine a billion-dollar company that we all know and use to look at real estate. Now let's imagine that billion-dollar company got into real estate and they knew everything about the market. They knew exactly what the market was doing, how much people are making, what the price trends were, and how much they could afford, and pretty much everything else about the market you'd ever need to know. And let's imagine they started to buy real estate, and they buy 30 houses at approximately $300,000 a house. And let's say the 31st house they buy, they spend $340,000. They decide to pay a premium. Now, why would they want to do that? Because they have access to billions of dollars, they usually pay cash, and they have all the data in the world not to overpay. Because if we want to buy a house, we need to get a loan. And if we get a loan, we need to get the house appraised to see how much it's worth. And in order to do that, we have to run comps or comparables to see what other homes like it have sold in that area. And so the theory in this video alleges that it's because they're manipulating the market. And this is because if the 31st home sells for $340,000, it would reset the comps, netting them a cool $1.2 million. So in today's video, I want to separate some of the fact from fiction and see if that really is true or if the internet is doing what the internet does best. So it's really cool. Let's talk about it right now. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the facts. Let's talk about the big Z, Zillow, the website that I spend all my time on looking at homes that I'll never be able to afford. So Zillow is what's called an iBroker, or an instant brokerage, and their goal is to make buying and selling real estate as fast and as easy as possible, because if they can increase the velocity, or the speed with which we exchange homes, the more money they get to make through commissions and various other fees. So let's actually talk about how Zillow makes its money, because there's three major parts of their business. The first one is called IMT, which stands for Internet Media Technology. This is a part of their business where other property management companies pay a small fee to list their homes on Zillow. In doing this, Zillow was able to make something like $1.45 billion in 2020 through the IMT segment. The second way they make money is through the mortgage segment. Because they bought a company called the Mortgage Lenders of America, they've become a fully licensed lender, which means people can now get a loan and refinance their home directly through Zillow. Now, this is not the most profitable segment of their business because they only made $174 million. But the third most profitable way they make money is through the home segment. Because in 2018, they launched something called Zillow Offers. And here, they're using their massive data resources to look at a specific area, to look at the price trends, how much people are making and how much they can afford, to give a very accurate algorithmic prediction of what your house might be worth. This is the Z estimate. And based on the Z estimate, sellers will sell their house directly to Zillow and get that cash offer almost instantly. If you've ever sold a house before, you know that it can sometimes take months and months to sell, which means in exchange for that convenience, sellers will sometimes take less money for selling their house just because they want that cash faster. Now, once Zillow buys your house, it might go in there and remodel, do some repainting, do some basic carpeting, and then sell it quickly for a profit. Now, this is the most lucrative segment of their business, and they've made something like $1.7 billion in 2020. And this is the segment of their business that the internet is accusing them of manipulating the market and making it unaffordable for everyone else. So let's go deeper and see if that's really the case or if the internet's just overreacting. Before we get into it, a quick word from today's sponsor, because I partnered up with Omaze to promote their sweepstakes. They're giving away a house, and not just any house, a $2.6 million, 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom, 6,060 square foot mega mansion in Miami. Well, that old thing, that's just my house. Can you imagine waking up in the morning and seeing that this is your house, or the pool parties you could throw in there? Seriously, go to omaze.com/Andrei Jikh and enter for your chance to win. Every donation helps the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which helps children with critical illnesses. Personally, I can't really win, but I want you to win, and if you do, call me up, invite me to come to your house, and we can talk about the latest and greatest investment. And if you don't want the house, you can take the $1.8 million cash prize instead. Personally though, I would take the house because it would appreciate faster than the cash, but mostly because I just want to visit your fancy house. Thank you to Omaze for sponsoring this part of the video. Don't forget to go to omaze.com/Andrei Jikh. Let's get back to the video. One of the tweets that's really popular seems to corroborate that Zillow is in fact paying above asking. It says, "My mom's house sold for way over asking. Found out Zillow bought it. They really are snatching up all the homes at ridiculous prices. The closing attorney said they do a closing every hour for Zillow, just their office alone." Now, of course, Twitter's not the best place to find evidence, so I checked myself. I went on Zillow and I looked for homes in my area in Las Vegas, and you can actually filter the search results to show you only what Zillow owns. So I scrolled through and I clicked on a random house, and this was the first one I found. Listed for $399,000 on the 25th of August, the same day there was a pending sale, and on September 16th, Zillow bought it for $476,000. Now that's an increase of 19% in just 2 weeks. Why would they pay such a premium over the asking price? One possible explanation is that the house sold fast, maybe because there were a lot of people bidding on it and they wanted to buy it because it was listed way below market value. So I looked at another house, but it was the same story. A seller listed this house for $450,000 on August 6th, but the house didn't sell until the 17th of September, which suggests that the house just sat there before Zillow made their offer, which means Zillow probably could have negotiated a lower price, and yet the house sold for way over asking, $509,000. So I looked at another house. This house was listed for sale on the 11th of June for $525,000. It sat on the market for almost 2 months and was sold on the 5th of August for $569,000. The fact that this house sat on the market for that long and still sold 8% over asking is a little bit strange. I looked for more examples, but the closer I looked, the more I saw the exact same story repeat again and again. Somebody lists a house for sale, it either gets bought up right away, or it'll sit on the market for 1 to 2 months before Zillow buys it and still pays 5 to 10% over the asking price. Now, in some cases, Zillow will try to sell that house more than what they purchased it for, and in other cases, they try to sell it for less than what they paid for. So what does this all mean? Does this mean that Zillow is actually manipulating the real estate market? Here's what I think is actually going on. I know it's comforting to look at a billion-dollar corporation and point the finger and say, "Ha, I knew it. This is why I'm mad. This is why I can't afford to buy a house, because of Zillow." But that's not the truth. Now, before you accuse me of being a paid shill or that this video is sponsored by Zillow, just hear me out. The discrepancy between what the price was listed for and what Zillow bought for is most likely because the algorithm couldn't take into account that the market was going to slow down. And so they overpaid, thinking that during that time and in that area, the growth was going to continue. And when it didn't, they realized, wait a minute, the algorithm can't take into account everything, and they realized they were left holding the bag. Now, I'll admit, it still doesn't explain why Zillow paid over asking, unless this was one giant marketing campaign to get people like me to talk about Zillow, in which case, well played, Zillow. Well played, I was fooled. I made a video about this, so did a lot of other people. Or maybe they paid over asking and they just didn't care because they have a lot of money and they get tax write-offs anyway. Now, regarding the original accusation that Zillow bought the first 30 homes at market value and then bought the 31st home above market value, netting them $1.2 million, that sounds plausible, except it's not when you realize that one comp doesn't reset the other 30. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work off of the latest home sale price, because if it did, Pokemon cards would all be overvalued. Wait, that is how it works in Pokemon, never mind. But it doesn't work like that in real estate. In real estate, we use the average in a specific area over a long period of time. It's not the last home that was sold. Also, regarding iBrokers like Zillow and others, they represent only a small percent of the national market. They would need exponentially more capital and more money to work with to manipulate the market on a national level. Like, way more. Like, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars more. Now I could end it there, but if you're still not convinced, let me show you some more data. There's only 46 Zillow-owned homes listed in the Las Vegas area. That's in comparison to about 4,000 homes available. So they only control a small portion of the market, and even if they controlled more, the evidence we should see is that they would have purchased a lot of that in a concentrated area. But as you can see by the map, where all the Zillow-owned homes are, that's clearly not the case. There are some areas of the map that do have clusters, but never more than 2 or so. That's because they're buying all over town. If they buy something like a 3-bed, 3-bath, for example, for $500,000, that same house is not going to cost the same amount in an area 10 miles away. So if you overpay for that house, it's not going to automatically translate to a different area. In order for that strategy to be effective, you need to buy dozens and dozens of homes in a very specifically concentrated area, which is clearly not the case here. Ultimately, Zillow's algorithm is not as good as people make it seem. If it was, Zillow would always flip their homes for a profit, but as we've seen, that is not the case. Sometimes they'll buy a house and they'll sell it for below their purchase price, which means they literally lose money. This is because their algorithm is not quite Skynet or AI just yet. Maybe someday it'll get there, but that'll take 10, 20, 30, 100 years, who knows how long. So for now, if the TikTok video was true, then relying on an inefficient algorithm like that would really be a bad business model because they'd go broke really fast. Instead, here's what I think they're doing. They're trying to do to real estate what Amazon did to retail. Amazon operated at a net loss for years before they became profitable, but they won because they offered competitive pricing and because it was convenient to use them. Now, this is what Zillow wants to do to real estate. They want to be the one-stop shop for buying, selling, and getting a loan on real estate, and they want us to have the best user experience. They want us to say, wow, Zillow bought my house for way above asking. They are awesome. So they are literally subsidizing that growth by throwing money at the wall and seeing what sticks, sometimes at a loss, because once they reach that scale, that's when they can become extremely profitable. That's why I don't think they're manipulating the price. But if corporations start to buy up all the real estate and then package them up and sell them off as investments a la 2008 style, where other banks and corporations and hedge funds can speculate on those investments with even more leveraged money, that's when we're in trouble. But until then, the real reason that real estate is becoming unaffordable is because of lack of supply and that wage growth is not growing at the same pace as asset growth. So in January 2015, the average hourly rate was about $25 an hour or $52,000 a year. Now that same year in 2015, the average home cost about $191,000. But if you fast forward to this year, the average hourly rate has grown to only $31 or $65,000 a year. Meanwhile, the average home has grown to $307,000. This is crazy. Homes have grown 60% while our incomes grew only 24% in that same time frame. And I would argue that gap is only going to continue to get bigger. And the reason that homes are becoming so unaffordable is because supply is not keeping up with demand. According to Redfin's data, we're building only 6 homes for every 10 families that need them. So if every generation needs to get into a bidding frenzy for an affordable house, eventually housing becomes unaffordable. So as entertaining as it was to watch that TikTok video, I don't think it's true yet. Maybe 75 years from now when corporations start to buy up all the real estate with leveraged money and then package it up as investments for other corporations to invest with leveraged money. Until then, we're not there yet. In the meantime, don't forget to have a great rest of your day. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and go visit omaze.com/Andrei Jikh for your chance to win an insane $2.6 million mansion or $1.8 million of that cash money. And best of all, every donation supports the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you back here on Monday, Friday, sometimes a Wednesday. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.